I didn't think actually. I've already started a job. It's my day off midweek, so this is when I get on with jobs around the house. And I'm sitting in the cabin that I've built. Only taken me for 6 years, a long time. And I've put a diesel heater in it, Chinese diesel heater. It's pretty effective, but I've mounted everything outside as much as possible for safety reasons. So the fuel tank, the heater itself, obviously the exhaust and the combustion air intake. The only things in the house are the actual hot air that comes from the heater and the control panel, which I've mounted on the wall. I'll show you in a minute. And I also have the slightly cooler air, which used to be hot, being sucked back into the heater from inside the cabin, just so it doesn't have to work as hard to heat the air. It's not pulling in cold air all the time from outside. And the other advantage of that is, of course, that air is away from the exhaust. So there's very little chance of it being pulled back in. I've put an extra long exhaust on as well. Oh no, I haven't. I've bought the exhaust to put on. I haven't done it yet, but they're far apart. So what I'm making today is a cover, a plywood cover, to go over everything that's on the back of the cabin and to keep the weather off it, basically. But also because I've changed the way that I'm powering the diesel heater. Initially I thought, well, because I'm in a fixed location, I can have it connected to the mains. It needs a 12 volt supply, so I bought a 30 amp 12 volt supply. What's that, 12 times 30? 440? Something like that. How many watts I'm trying to work out. But that supplies the glow plug, and it's plenty to do that. It works well. And it's an old 12 volt transformer power supply unit for LED lighting strips. But it works well for this, but the problem is that my house electrics need rewiring, really. Some of them were still in from when it was built in the 60s. It's well overdue, and that means that if we run too many things at once, we tend to get nuisance trips, and it all shuts down. So if we've got any sort of high load stuff on at the same time, like the tumble dryer, a car recharging, and an iron, say, it'll trip. Now, if that happens while the heater in here is running, if it suddenly loses power, then all that heat that's coming from the burn chamber just sits there instead of being sucked across it and blown across it by the fan. And so what happens is things melt. The PCB, the circuit board that controls it, can melt. The parts on it can melt. Even the casing around it can melt. So obviously that's a fire hazard as well as a waste of a diesel heater. So they're designed to work off batteries. So what I've got is a 12 volt 100 amp hour lead acid battery. I got it second hand on eBay, £50. It came out of a council work van, and was used to run their night heaters in there, I believe. So I'm going to have that attached for the power supply, and I've bought a 1 amp trickle charger that will plug into the 240, so that'll keep it topped up, and if there is a power cut, I won't lose power to the fan on the diesel heater. And there'll be enough in that battery to go for days and days, so a power trip shouldn't last that long unless something's seriously wrong, in which case that'll be the least of my worries. Either way, it'll give me a chance to cool it down even if I want to turn it off as it goes through the cooling cycle. So all that's going to be outside, so I'm building a combined shelf for the battery and a weather cover for all of it, the battery, the heater itself. So if I didn't think on, and I started doing the work. I don't want to make use of the dry day and the brightness of the day, because we're still in midwinter here. I'm just coming past it now, so I don't get a lot of working time around the back of the cabin. So what I've already done, if I show you, I've got some old 22mm ply that I used to board out the first boat that I bought. It's a bit mucky, but it'll do. It's good thick stuff. So I've got 2 sides of that, and then I've started putting together this shelf. So that's going to be battened front, rear, sides. Front, rear and sides, and attached to these things. I'm going to do a cutout for... No, I'm not going to do a cutout. I'm just going to have this wide enough. I was thinking of putting a cutout there for the pipes to come out of, but actually I'm just going to make it wide enough to envelop the whole lot. So the shelf will be halfway up here. I'm pleased I've gone through doing this now, actually, because I'd forgotten I decided not to do that, and I would have gone and cut it out for no reason. And then I'll get a bit of a thinner bit of ply. Probably some of this stuff, which I think is 12mm, and that will be for the lid. And the current thinking on the lid is to have some sort of flexible hinge made out of something waterproof on the top edge attached to the cabin, so I can lift it up and down. And I'll probably felt it as well. I've got an old half a roll of felt somewhere in this mess, stuff stacked up. So that's where we're at so far. I've cut these 2 battens to go on the long side against the cabin so I can screw through. So I'll crack on with that now. Okay, I just did that in time lapse by accident. So what I was saying was, I was designing these battens for the back to hold the side of the cupboard on. I forgot that they're going to be interrupted by the shelf for the battery. So I have now left room the right size, but I'm going to have to cut this when I get to 41 centimetres. Take a couple of centimetres off and then carry on above. So that's the next job, is to cut these down to that size. It's just occurred to me that I've made this 70 centimetres wide, and that just encompasses the full setup with the hot air ducts both ends. That means that the side battens on the side pieces of the cabinet are going to interfere. They're going to interfere with the ducts, so I need to shorten them that way as well. I'm going to go measure it just to be sure. I did measure it, I thought it was 20 centimetres, but measure twice, cut once and all that. I've already wasted enough wood. So, yeah, that was 70. I'm going to give me the room to squeeze it through complete. So, yeah, 20 centimetres is correct. And these are 90 centimetres diameter. So that means it's going to be from, call it 10. So I could have 10 centimetres on the bottom, a 10 centimetre gap, and then continue above. Okay, that's what we'll do. It's looking a bit rough and ready. You know, look at that gap. But it's solid enough in terms of the weight, the strength of it. It looked kind of wobbly. mid-talk and the battery died. What I was saying was, it's pretty much ready to mount now. It's pretty shaky in a way, but once the rear battens are screwed through onto the cabin, that'll obviously be rigid then. Yeah, I mean, if I had more time, always the way, I'd have made sure that this was a lot better. There's little gaps and stuff, but you know, it'll do, and it should do the job that I want it to do. Okay, so I'm just making a lid for it, cutting that to size. It's going to have a good overlap around, and I'll be covering that in felt. That will just go down on there once I've installed that. Yeah, I'll have to install it. As soon as I've cut that, I'm going to screw this onto the cabin, because the light is starting to go now. I've had to put the strip light on in here. So get that screwed on, and then I'm halfway done. I might have to finish it off next Wednesday. Okay. Right, it's not going to win any design awards, but hopefully you should do a reasonable job of keeping it weatherproof out there. Okay, take it around and offer it up. So I've isolated the transformer. I'll remove that now. Stuck on a CT1 across. Oh, that's screwed in there. Getting in the way. yeah, which I think almost invisible. I don't know what you saw, but it's not no connector for 15 years anymore. So, that's anyway. I'm going to take it. Nice one. Got the fences down there. So, I'll actually try this one. I'll do that. Look, I was just contemplating carrying this heavy lead acid battery around by myself, and my daughter came home from school bringing her boyfriend. They're year 11, so he's a big strapping lad, gym goer. Perfect opportunity for me to offer to let him test his strength. He could hardly say no, could he? Just pop that there for me. This is the 1 amp trickle charger I was talking about. So it just connects to the terminals there. So I'm just going to connect it. I've got an IP67 rated junction box. Away goes, I'll do it with, but just for now I'm going to crimp it. So don't judge, it's just to test the whole system. And I need to extend the glow plug lines because they're not long enough. So I shall go and sort that out now. Feel. A bit snug. Well, I have to come back to that, I think, and adjust it. It's finished for now. I might have to come back and make that a bit of a better fit at a later date. But thanks for watching.